I had an experience earlier this summer, which I probably shouldn't tell, but I will, that is an example of how it gets weird. A friend of mine moved to London and left me his library for unspecified amounts of time to keep. A very bizarre library, mostly Platonic stuff, a lot of magic, a lot of that sort of thing. And so we built a book loft for it, and our house is wedge-shaped, and so this book loft is way up at the top of the house. And I was alone in the house, and I took 7 dried grams, and I was sitting there, and it was just beginning to come on. I was in the show what you know thing phase, and it was beginning to show what it knew, and there was this disrupted area of space in front of me where it was like rotating, and I was looking into it and talking it up. And I was actually speaking. At first I was just speaking in my mind. Then I began speaking aloud, and I was saying, "You are beautiful thing. You are beautiful." And suddenly things changed, and it became very cold, and meaning the temperature fell suddenly. And the dog next door, who never howls, howled. And the cat, which was down below me, I was up in this loft looking down at our bed. The cat was on the bed. The cat flared out and made this really weird noise. And I just, I stopped what I was doing and projected my mind into this situation. And at that moment, I heard this sound, which was like, and then something settled onto the roof, sufficient to make the 6 by 14-inch beam creak in. Just went, and I was floored. And I just sat for a minute, and I was not frightened. In fact, my emotion was hard to get back to, but I wasn't frightened. But just at that moment, this thing was really coming on, and really visually peculiar, and it seemed like the two things were independent. The trip was getting stronger and stronger, but a 10-ton something had landed on the roof beam of my house. So I just sat with it for about 30 seconds, and then this thought or voice came, and it was, this thing has come because of something I'm doing, and that means that I can get rid of it. So I just turned like this up toward the roof and projected this thought very strongly, which was, "Begone, I am in conversation with an elder." And this thing went, "Woo!" And there was a long pause, 10 seconds or so, and then whatever it was, it lifted off the roof and went away. And what was weird about this was I had never ever used in my own mind this phrase, "an elder," to describe the mushroom. It was like just came out of me. And the whole episode seemed real weird to me. And I just let it ride. But that's an instance where, there is this, let's call it synchronicity, so that we don't have to believe that a pterodactyl landed on my roof. There is this synchronicity. For some reason, there chose to be a fluttering sound, and the beam chose to creak. Now, doubtless, this has to do with temperature and the cooling of day to night and this and that. But, it was a thing to go through. And other things like that go on. There was an incident which I don't think is actually on True Hallucinations in Hawaii, where we stepped out of the house. It was we were hitting it pretty hard in that Hawaiian situation, and stepped out of the house in the middle of the night, totally clear, starry sky, very high, thin cirrus clouds in one part of the sky, and 300 yards in front of the house and about 300 feet up in the air, a large black cloud, lenticular, slowly turning. So, what it's ridiculous. And you just look at this thing, and it swirled faster and faster and grew denser and denser, and then it just retreated into nothing. It both moved away and got so small it disappeared. So what is this? Low-level convection because of... There's no explaining these things. Many people on psilocybin report the rustling at the side of the room. There seems to be a periphery about 15 feet out where the scurriers are in action. And they just move around, and they never come closer, and they never get further away, and they just scurry and scurry. You say, oh, there are rats, and gee, there are a lot of rats. And,